It's time to join Montana's very own and your voice for agriculture, Talkin' Ag Lane Nordlund, for today's Lanecast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lanecast Ag Podcast. And as we make our way through 2025, not only is it the year of my mother's 50th class reunion from graduating high school. Yes, that was 50 years ago, Mom, if she's my number one fan tuning in here today. But it was also back in 1975 that our friends at ServiTech began a path of helping producers out in the countryside, offering essential feed and forage testing services that drive efficiency, sustainability, and profitability. They were truly ahead of their time 5 decades ago when they got their start. And today we're going to be talking about ServiTech and what's in store for the future as they look back on 50 years of service to the agriculture community. And joining us here today is Erin Woodward with ServiTech, joining us actually from Nebraska today. Erin, how are things? It's feeling pretty spring-like here in Montana where I'm broadcasting from here today.
Yeah, it's been 70 and sunny here. Supposed to be 80 on Monday and snowing by the end of the week next week.
Well, typical spring weather, no doubt. It's like we just started calves started hitting the ground here about a week ago, and got a little cold. But I know a majority of those cows are going to hold out for some unforeseen cold weather, like they usually do. But I want to thank you for joining us here today, and talking about ServiTech and the role they've played, and for so many producers, operations, whether it's on the cropping end or on the livestock feed nutrition end of things. But first and foremost, let's talk about your role with ServiTech.
Yeah, so I am the Key Feed Accounts Manager at ServiTech. I started with ServiTech right out of college. I received my bachelor's degree in agribusiness from the University of Nebraska at Kearney. I'm only about 10 minutes from where I grew up, so I'm home central Nebraska girl. My role is to promote our livestock services and be the key contact for our current and potential feed customers.
Now, so obviously, for the last few years, this has been a great opportunity for you to engage with customers that have utilized ServiTech for maybe 10 years, 5 years, or 50 years. And when you're communicating with folks, how do you explain ServiTech's role and how they truly do set themselves apart in really helping put feed efficiency and testing at the top of everyone's minds? Because sometimes that could be a topic that isn't thought about until maybe something happens.
Right, absolutely. Well, with the different weather events and environmental challenges, feed costs, increasing customer demand for that safe and high quality animal product, testing really is your golden ticket. With the droughts and soil degradation, it fluctuates your feed and forage, and it's unreliable now for farmers to base their nutrition decisions on assumptions. So that regular testing allows precise ration adjustments to ensure that your livestock are receiving essential nutrients for your optimum growth, reproduction, and production, but also minimizing those waste and unnecessary costs to farmers. So ServiTech tests out of 45 of the 50 states, and as well as 10 other countries. So we have had guys on our crop service side that have been with us for 40-something years. And we have just a wealth of knowledge. They've seen darn near everything. That is what sets us apart from our competition.
So let's look back from your time. What has it been like learning from your fellow employees that have been there over 40 years? And what are the discussions around the water cooler when all the teammates are together about how ServiTech got its start, and who really thought, you know what, this is a service that's needed, and how do we do it the best?
Yeah. So I started off as an associate agronomist, so I was able to learn from our wealth of knowledge. We have over 100 years of knowledge on staff, which is really cool, and not too many companies can say that anymore. So we have just continued to expand and grow with the industry. We now have 3 lab locations: Dodge City, Hastings, and Amarillo. And we have over 70 agronomists on staff within our footprint. We also have over 90 lab employees between the 3 labs. So it's fun to get everyone together to share all of the knowledge that they've seen over the years. Our chief of labs has been with us for darn near 40 years. And so he's seen a lot of changes in the industry. Like I said, we have agronomists who have been with us for 40 years who have seen the changes. And so it's really fun to be able to tap into that wealth of knowledge.
No, definitely. And a lot of great milestones and growth in a pretty fast period of time around those different regions up until today. And as we look back on those areas of growth, how have the services that ServiTech has offered producers in the countryside expanded, changed, and improved over time?
We started as just a soils lab in Dodge City. In the 80s, we added on feed testing. We learned a lot, and that feed testing really took off in the early to mid 2000s. We have also underwent a few different projects to help with precision agronomy demand. Within the last 10 years, we have added NIR testing or infrared testing with a partnership lab. So we strive for those new technologies, those new ways to, or the best practices to provide our customers with the best service that we're able to. Our tagline for this year is 50 years and growing.
And Erin, since 1975, again, you mentioned all the growth and all the locations that ServiTech is located in. What are some of the key milestones that we've seen from 1975 to 2025?
The leadership at ServiTech had decided to create our first laboratory in Dodge City to provide faster testing than the universities were able to offer at that time. In 1981 and in 1982, ServiTech moved into northeastern Colorado. In 1982, we moved into Nebraska. Nebraska is currently our biggest agronomy territory, or one of the biggest agronomy territories. In 1988, Dodge City needed to increase our capacity to keep up with the ever-growing demand. Our Hastings, Nebraska location was opened, and our feed started around the 1980s. In 1990 and 1996, Dodge City underwent some extensive expansions to increase capacity and efficiency. In 2000, ServiTech had grown into one of the largest agronomic and laboratory firms in the United States. Our increased demand allowed ServiTech to add on our Iowa division of crop service. In 2005, Amarillo Lab was opened to aid in increasing crop service testing demand and to offer testing to cattle feeders in the Texas Panhandle. This is about the time our feed testing started to really take off. It was a slow burn at first. The early to mid 2000s is when it really started to become more prevalent. In 2009, we added on some precision agronomy availabilities or services. In 2013, our official purpose statement became sustainably creating a more productive world. Our purpose statement reflects our dedication to pursuing those new technologies, and that will ensure our recommendations and services are making our customers' operations more productive, efficient, and sustainable. In 2015, we celebrated 40 years. At that point, our 3 labs were processing over 411,000 samples and had almost 1 million acres under contract. In 2023, Dodge City received the ISO 17025 accreditation with the International Organization for Standardization. And this last year, in 2024, all 3 labs processed over 528,000 samples. And this year is our 50th year, and we're hoping to continue to grow and find those new technologies and those testing practices that best service our customers.
Well, when you're looking at over 500,000 samples, I'm sitting here thinking how fast do the labs get those results? And if you're a producer, say in Colorado or Nebraska, that needs a soil test or a feed test, how do they submit those? And how long does it take to turn those around? Because that's an impressive amount, but you also have an impressive number of labs across the countryside as well.
Yeah. So if you're in our agronomy footprint and you need help taking samples, we can absolutely set someone up with you to help take those samples. We have submission sheets available online, and as well as sampling procedure pamphlets available to those who may be outside of our footprint that would like to send samples in. During our busy season, which is typically the fall when harvest is done, soil samples are really rolling in. Our turnaround time is still under a week or around a week turnaround. We like to stay in the 2 to 3 day turnaround time throughout the rest of the year. It really truly depends on the time of year, but we are striving for timely, accurate results. So we really like to stay in that 2 to 3 day window.
And as we look back, as you mentioned there, in the 2000s, really expanding on the feed and forage testing. What really has stood out for customers in those services? And I know this is more of your area too when we're looking at nutrition and whatnot. But how vital is it when we're looking at having healthy livestock, having healthy soils, and produce crops to their top ability? How really crucial is feed and forage testing for producers in the countryside?
Feed and forage is bigger now than it used to be. Like we said, the rising costs, the environmental challenges, consumer demand has changed a ton. And no two nutritionists are the same. So one of the things that we have adjusted to offering is custom packages. So not everything that we offer is cookie cutter. We are so willing to work with people on their needs, on people in the Texas Panhandle versus people in North Dakota are going to have very different ideas of what cattle nutrition looks like. So ServiTech has been able to adjust to those different regions to really fit our customers.
Now, for yourself in your career, what sparked your imagination that this is a path that I want to be involved in? How did you know that this is a career that you wanted to follow?
I grew up on a farm and ranch here in central Nebraska. Like I said, I live about 10 minutes from where I grew up. We raised cattle, we farmed corn and soybeans. It's something I've always been interested in. I am the youngest of 3 girls, so I am my father's boy, as he likes to put it. So coming back to the farm was always my passion. Growing up, I thought it was a treat when I got to go check cattle during calving season after school. I also worked in a few different sectors throughout college. I worked for my father on the ranch. I worked for a pork production company, and I also worked for a large and small animal veterinary clinic. So livestock has definitely been where my passion has lied most of my life.
And being able to work with folks face to face and help them in there, because we're all just trying to make a go of it in the countryside, whether it's raising cattle or talking for a living to pay for my cows, as I like to put it. What when we're looking at when you're working with folks there in Nebraska or your respective regions that you work with too, how is it that you can explain how essential in feed testing is? How can you relay that to folks that maybe are a little skeptical? Because we all know there's operations out there that maybe do things the way that dad and grandpa did, but they may run into some roadblocks, and we're looking to be sustainable. We're looking to be as efficient as possible. How do you share how important it is to use tools like feed testing and forage testing?
Just like we care about what's going into our bodies, we should care about what's going into the cattle's bodies. Maybe you're feeding a little extra supplementation that grandpa fed 30 years ago, but your corn that you're feeding is a lot more efficient than it was 30 years ago. So maybe there's some costs there that could be adjusted. You don't need that extra supplementation because you're making it up on the front end. So a lot of it is, it can come down to your bottom line. Yes, testing can be an undertaking. Yes, it can be a little bit of a cost that you didn't plan on having that year, but it could ultimately save you on the back end. It could save with an increased average daily gain. It could increase your milk production. Those cows that could have been open are now have a better reproductive system. So because you know what is going into that cattle now, or into your cattle now.
And no matter what ServiTech is testing or working with producers on too, to make the claim that you are one of the best, it needs to be backed up. What are some of the accreditations that ServiTech has in backing up their proven results in the work that you and your team do on a daily basis?
So at ServiTech, we hold ourselves to a standard that's a measurement of quality, but it's also a measurement of our commitment to providing data that our customers can have that confidence in that they need to make business decisions. Our Dodge City lab now has an accreditation, which is ISO 17025. It is the documentation to prove what we're claiming that we're doing. ISO is achieved through demonstrating quality management systems and producing reliable results. To achieve that, we had to conduct initial assessments, implement a standard of testing, and perform audits and management reviews internally. So this is promoting confidence in ServiTech's laboratory work, both nationally and it's internationally recognized. And it's just ensuring that we have a quality management system. Our equipment is calibrated properly. We have traceability with our testing. We have had that in the years previously, but this is just really that icing on the cake, that next step that we needed to take. And we're very proud of the traceability and the documentation that we're able to provide our customers. Feed manufacturers, grain producers, they want to make sure that they're receiving that highest quality outcome in the lab data so they can make those business decisions. And we're just adding to their deck as well.
And so as we look at that accreditation of 50 years of experience and really helping producers look at their operations so much in such a brighter light of knowing what exactly, again, a lot of people and especially consumers, they might look at soil and say, well, that's just dirt. For those of us that have taken a soils class, you don't call soil dirt either. But from that start 50 years ago to really being a tool for producers to be more efficient, to be more profitable, to understand all aspects of their operations. What is in store for the next 50 years for ServiTech? What is the vision as we move ahead? And we know there's always cutting edge technology coming out, and it's just around the corner. We don't know what it may be in 10 years, but what is the overall goal for ServiTech in the next 50?
Like I said, our tagline for this year is 50 years and still growing. We want to continue to strive for those new technologies, those new testing practices, those new tools that are available or will become available to make sure our crop service is doing the best job that they can, that their recommendations are the best that they can be, our sample results are as accurate as possible. So ServiTech will always continue to strive towards the next thing, whatever we need to do to help our customers be successful.
And Aaron, at the end of the day, when you get home and you kick your feet up, and when you look back on a day's work, what truly makes you most proud about the role you play at ServiTech?
I take so much pride in helping farmers and ranchers. Like I said, I grew up that way. I've seen what they go through. I have seen the difficulties that they face, and just to know that I played a little part of their operation to help make things maybe a little bit better, is really a point of pride for not only myself but for ServiTech as well. We truly appreciate the opportunity to help people and to just maybe give a little bit different perspective on things.
And for our friends that are either listening or watching our conversation here today, if they want to partner with ServiTech and see if there's a rep or a field rep near them, what is the best way for them to get in touch with a person like you or your teammates?
So all of our information is available at www.servitech.com, or we also have servitechlabs.com. I would be the primary contact for feeds. I cover a majority of the United States. So if you go to the contact us, you're stuff will likely come to me, and I can answer any questions that people may have.
Well, again, Erin, 50 years of being a partner in the countryside for farmers and ranchers. And again, 50 years and growing. I think that's a great tagline. And I want to thank you for taking some time here today to just shed a little bit of light on 5 decades of service to rural America with your role at ServiTech and all those that have come before you and will come after both you and I are wrapping up with our careers with ServiTech's role 50 years from now. So thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, again, thank you so much to Erin and for ServiTech for joining us here today on the Landcast Ag Podcast. As she mentioned, if you would like to learn more about their services and how they can help you out in the countryside, just visit them online today. Well, friends, that will do it for today's agriculture conversation on the Landcast Ag Podcast. I'm Nordlund. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lanecast with Talkin' Ag, Lane Nordlund. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lanecast on your Apple or Android devices. We look forward to joining you next time on the Lanecast.